As a candidate, platforms are typically built around addressing the city's shortcomings, but I would like to end this interview on a more positive note. What do you think the current council has done particularly well in their last term, and how can that be applied to future policies or endeavors?
Well, one of the things I think City Council has done an especially good job on this time is urban reserves. I firmly believe then that we need to commit to land back. I've said this numerous different times. We need to work with the Indigenous communities because at the end of the day, our continued settlement on this land has caused harm to people, especially Indigenous people. And we need to work with the Indigenous communities and we need to work with the Indigenous stakeholders to actually make sure that they have an actual functioning voice on City Council. Because right now we need more Indigenous representation on City Council, and we also need more folks from the Indigenous community consulting with City Council, and that means making sure our systems are accessible for people and making sure that our election system actually allows people that are Indigenous to actually get involved and to actually have serious conversations, because that's exactly what City Council needs this next term, is that we need to have a dedicated Indigenous advisor readily available to City Councils, and it's something I want to push on with other City Councils to make sure we can actually get it done, because having that person readily available for us would be phenomenal. And I know there's so many things that I want to consult with Indigenous people on, and unfortunately I don't have someone I can't go to immediately, and I think it would be good for City Council to have someone.
I really appreciate that lens, because I think it's important for any incoming councillor to think about how you're standing on the shoulders of those before you and before you and before you. It's no one councillor nor no one group has a monopoly on the outcomes there. So I think that we talked earlier about the climate and energy transition, and I think that there's been a number of initiatives that I would like to accelerate and continue the momentum on that this council has started. And I think that going back to the earlier question, every decision we make as a council is a climate question, and we need to think about that. And I think this council has started really accelerating that. So I love the direction that they're moving in that the previous council set in the new city plan. I think there's a lot of really positive content in there. I love the idea of planting more trees. I love the idea of building up and not out. I love the idea of how we're going to build for the future, not just our built form as a city, but also our economy and everything else. And I think bringing together more of these pieces and now having a new council to accelerate that direction, I think is quite exciting. It's now taking those ideas and putting them into action, and that's been my background as a trustee and in the other roles I've played. And going back to my time at the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, one of the initiatives I worked on was called the Living Local Strategy. How do we help more people more often do more things closer to home? Not saying that you don't drive ever, but just giving people, through the way we build our city, more opportunity to be walking, biking, wheeling, transit, or even driving shorter distances less frequently to be able to accomplish their needs. And so when I saw the city plan and started reading it, I was like, yes, this is the Live Local strategy of a decade ago coming to life. And I think that's really exciting. And I think a lot of folks, when we think about the future that we want to raise not just our children, but our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren in, this will be a very exciting Edmonton of the future. And I commend the current council for doing that.
What has the council done well in the last 4 years? Interesting question. I'm glad that you put that out there. It's always nice to think positively as well. Edmonton in general, I think, as a city, we do a very good job of community building. And through our festivals, through what we do, and what council's done well here in the last little while is supporting those festivals and supporting kind of what makes Edmonton Edmonton. And I think that we can build on that, keep moving that forward, allow us to, and I know COVID puts a whole lot of wrenches into these machines as well, but allow us to continue to grow what we do best, and that's welcome the world through music, through performance, through gathering. Again, makes it a little difficult with COVID, but I think if we can continue to foster that, I think we're going to go a long way. They talk about wanting to become a world-class city. I think we need to do what Edmonton does best to be that world-class city.
So, as much as there are some polarizing figures on council right now, I think as a whole, this council's taken some huge steps towards helping Edmonton and Edmontonians make the shift from being a big, small city to a small, big city. And to tackle a number of major issues that we're facing, some of which are not technically even within the city's jurisdiction, but sort of stepping in and taking leadership locally, but also even nationally and internationally. So they've set the groundwork, I think, for being able to move a lot of things forward. And so the city plan, I think, is fantastic. But of course, every decision we make is going to be how we implement it. And those decisions are going to be harder than the big vision. Same with our energy transition strategy. Same with the work that they've done on permanent supportive housing and trying to address the rapid increase in the number of our neighbors who are unhoused. And, they've really stepped in to fill a gap there, a massive chasm. And so there's a lot of really great opportunities that we can jump off of if we're ready for it, to make the more difficult decisions that come after the larger plans are in place. I've been talking with some communities about the permanent supportive housing, for example, because immediately you have the plan and you start to buy the land, you start to do the things, but then you do have that, natural opposition to change and anxiety about the unknown, as well as other, layers to it. But we can help move people into a place where they recognize that this is about welcoming new neighbors into their community, and that's an important thing for us to be doing as a city.
I think there's a few really great things that this council has done in the last term. I think the city plan lays out a groundwork that is very positive and very forward-thinking. The nice thing about the city plan, too, is it is a little bit fluid, so there's movement to change it as we foresee things growing. But the bones of the city plan are essential in our move forward to tackling climate emergency and creating a city that's more livable and equitable for all. On top of that, I think, too, the work Iveson and the rest of council has done on building a strong region, both economic and we have the addition to the regional transit network. So I think that is key, because we're no longer going to be finding ourselves fighting against all of our neighboring communities for investment. We make it easier for people to live out there and continue to work within the city. And that is key for any big city to become a future city, because we need to all work together. I think about all the big cities I've gone to in the United States, and I guess a few here. I mean, Vancouver's a good example too. All of the region is so close together, and they work well together. So just because you live in St. Albert doesn't mean that you don't have a close tie to the city of Edmonton, and I think that's essential. So those would be the two biggest things, and getting people really talking about ending homelessness, I think, is another thing. Even if we didn't achieve it at this point, the conversation's being had, and that's essential.
So I'm going to make it a little more specific than that. Michael Walters is our current councillor, and I would like to thank him for his tireless devotion to our ward. Now, Michael and I have not always agreed on issues. We've had some very dynamic discussions on many of them. I have always appreciated his hard work. One of the things that I must say has been wonderful for our mature neighborhoods are the mature neighborhood renewal projects. So where we get new sidewalks, new roads, where they build in multi-purpose paths. I think that that is a huge success within the mature neighborhoods, that the city has taken an active interest in helping that infrastructure. It makes the neighborhood friendlier, the aesthetics of the neighborhood make people want to walk in it. The multi-purpose youth paths attract people from other neighborhoods so they get to know each neighborhood. I love that project. I think they've done that very well.
Well, I think this election is really important. For me, something I'm really concerned about is voter apathy. I encourage every single citizen to get involved. I encourage every single citizen to read pamphlets, read websites, because at the end of the day, this is not just a city council or city, you know what I mean? It's everyone's city, and it's determining how we move forward for the next 4 years. And this election cycle is incredibly important too, combined with the federal election too, you know what I mean? We need to make sure this next city council's priorities are clear. We need action on climate change. We need action on housing. We need action on the opioid crisis. We need action on policing, transit, and finally, we need real action when it comes to dealing with sustainability and making sure that we're building a city that actually works for people and is long term. But yeah, vote Papaschase, vote Ali.
Awesome. I'd say, first of all, thanks for pulling this together, and it's really unfortunate that we can't have the forum, but I appreciate you adapting here. I think you're going to have many excellent candidates coming forward and putting their name in, and that's to be commended. What sets me apart from the other candidates, though, is with a new mayor and at minimum 5 new city councillors, I'm the only candidate running in Ward Papastew that has actual elected experience, has actually served as a public school trustee, chair of the school board, which I think are the best calories to being a city councillor or a mayor out there. We have to manage a budget of over $1 billion. We have to manage over 200 school buildings, a bus system. You have to manage the superintendent of schools and administration. You have to set the policy governance framework. You have to manage an audit committee. The experience that I've had as a school trustee is a very, very strong preparation opportunity to take those skills and bring it forward and to actually achieve results for the city of Edmonton. So I have proven progressive values. I have almost 2 decades of experience, whether standing up for students at the University of Alberta, standing up for our neighborhoods with the Federation of Community League, standing up for our students at the public school board. I think Edmonton has been very good to me, and it's I want to give back and make sure that we can build a city that all of us can feel welcomed, we can feel belonging, we can feel that sense of belonging, and that my kids can raise their families too.
I think really I just want to point out again that collaboration is key, no matter who you are, who you're talking with. And the city is going to pick its mayor, the city is going to pick its councillors, and I'm happy to work alongside whoever that may be. And again, talking with people even now, and I was able to attend the mayoral forum last night down in Chinatown, and I heard a lot of good things from all the different candidates that are standing up for mayor. So I look forward to working with whoever the city decides. And thank you for allowing democracy to happen here as well.
No. I love Ritchie. It's obviously like a neighbor community, and they spend a lot of time here. And I'm really, really excited by what I see happening in this neighborhood right now. I think it's a real model for how we can be thinking again about how we build community, how we can be out on the ground, fostering relationships, solving problems. And so mostly I just want to say thanks to the League for all your leadership on this, because, it's a lot of times it's easy for it to become a more insular kind of situation. And even just at your AGM a couple of weeks ago, Avnesh talked about, if you have an idea, you come and we say, yes, let's figure out how to make that possible. And we'd like to think that we're all like that and like every organization should be like that. But the reality is that it's actually very rare, and we need to be cultivating that. And I've really seen Ritchie step in and take that leadership role and tackle some of the more challenging issues in the community as well. And so I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity.
Well, I would really like to get out and see everyone. Time constraints, there's a lot of doors to get out to. So if I don't get out to see you before then, hopefully you can go and visit my website and get the information you want and reach out and ask any questions that you may have. But I do think that I'm well positioned to take on this role as city councillor. Again, I have no party affiliations, and I'm not really doing this as a stepping stone to a larger political career. Beyond municipal politics, I have no interest. And in fact, I'll even say I have no interest beyond councillor. So I'm really doing this because I care about the ward and I care about my community. And I think that we need good leadership moving forward, leadership that isn't tied down by partisan politics. And people that are passionate about the city of Edmonton. But I guess, everyone who's running is probably passionate about the city of Edmonton, otherwise they wouldn't be running. But I think it's important that I'm not just doing this for a paycheck or for a next step in my political career. I'm doing this because I honestly care, and I think that the city of Edmonton has a great opportunity to be a leader in addressing the climate emergency, tackling the big issues that are affecting our city, and there's similar issues affecting all the big cities. And I would like to, at some point in the near future, be the city that the rest of North America looks at and says, they did it right over there, so we should do it that way.
Welcome home, Ritchie. I am super happy that we are now a ward of mature neighborhoods. As a councillor, I can focus my time on working with all of our neighborhoods that are mature neighborhoods to get us to neighborhoods that we find friendly, inclusive, and where there's jobs for people to go to work. You have to remember that Papastew is not about homes only. We have industrial parks in our neighborhood with many vacancies. White Avenue has many vacancies. We need to bring our ward back to life, and this is the perfect 4 years to do it. I have the community experience to help the community leagues get more engaged in the system. I have the business experience to invite new businesses into our wards so that young people have an opportunity to build a future in our wonderful city. I am the candidate that is nonpartisan and collaborative. I'm the only candidate that is nonpartisan, collaborative, with community experience and business experience. And I think that would make me an excellent councillor. Thank you very much for your time.